I'm trash. I can't achieve anything. I'm good for nothing. Those are thoughts that come by our brain every time we make a mistake. In life, we all make mistakes, small or big, long-lasting or short, and sooner or later, we make mistakes and embarrass ourselves in front of people and drown in our thoughts of negative self-talk. Several times is okay. It is completely normal for a human being to feel defeated at times, considering all the possible obstacles that comes with life. But as we keep making those small mistakes, they start to stack up in our brain, and at some point, it will overload, and we just lose ourselves and the control over our own lives. Behind every person that gets easily angry for others' mistakes, there's a harsh, tyrannical side to them that holds on to every single one of the mistakes that they themselves made. We get so trapped in our own thoughts, so harsh on ourselves, never letting those mistakes go, even though the closest, most reliable ally we can ever have is ourselves. This is exactly how I felt until just recently I've learned a new skill. Today I would like to talk about the significance and the psychology of self-forgiveness and the impact that it has on us. It was only recently that I was inspired to deepen my understanding on self-forgiveness. I made lots of mistakes during a period of time. I missed a few meetings that I was supposed to attend. I made lots of mistakes during a volleyball match, and I even missed a few deadlines for some of my important subjects. Normally, I would be able to easily learn from the mistakes and move on. But because I didn't learn about the significance of self-forgiveness yet, those events greatly affected me. I lost confidence in just about everything, including those that were unrelated to the event. I was flooded with negative thoughts, and I couldn't focus on other important things, such as spending time with my close friends and families, and taking care of my mental and physical health. I basically lost myself and the control over my own life, which meant that my body was basically moving without any control. I knew I had to do something about this, so to get to the bottom of this condition, I conducted some research. And from the research, I found out that basically I was in a mental state similar to a 2-year-old child. This was when I encountered Carl Jung, an ambitious, discerning psychiatrist that completely reshaped psychology in the 20th century. He made lots of contributions to the world of theoretical psychology, and one of his major accomplishments was finding the 4 archetypes. Now, the 4 archetypes and the impact that it has on the human psyche is extremely profound. But for the sake of this speech, I've simplified it into simpler terms. Here's a map of how the 4 archetypes looks interconnected with each other inside our brain. The 4 archetypes are psychological models that are inside of our brain that shapes how you feel, think, or act. The 4 archetypes are the following: the self, the persona, the shadow, and the anima or animus. The self can be seen as our personality as a whole, both the conscious and the unconscious parts. The persona can be perceived as the image of ourselves that we want to project onto others. The shadow can be understood as the deeper, darker personality traits that we all have deep down. And finally, the anima or animus is somewhat like a mediator that unites personality traits of both men and women to create a more balanced personality. All 4 archetypes are heavily interconnected with each other, and they pose significant impact on oneself. But today I will only focus on 2, persona and the shadow. The shadow falls into the unconscious section in our psyche because we are often not aware of its presence. The persona can also be in the unconscious section, but it is easier to notice than the shadow, so it is placed in the conscious section on this map. In a nutshell, the persona is the social mask that we all wear in public, and the shadow hides all of our deeper, darker personality traits such as evilness, laziness, cowardice, and more that we all naturally have as a human being. The shadow also hides all of our repressed emotions, thoughts, ideas, weaknesses, and fears that we don't want to face. And according to Carl Jung, the shadow inside of us may grow if we rely too much on our persona in our daily life, which I think is something we all do at some point in our lives in order for our surroundings to accept us and perhaps like us more. Now let's link back to the beginning. The mistakes and bad choices we make are often a result of our shadow. But we are easily devastated by these events because we simply cannot accept the fact that we do indeed have a shadow inside of us, especially those with stronger morals. Our persona tried to be too perfect and fitting in a social situation that it restricts us from doing anything that is a result of our shadow. Thus, when we do make mistakes, we easily become devastated and we fall victim into the hands of our own negative thoughts. This condition may be evident in a lot of people nowadays because we receive so much pressure from our surroundings to stay beautiful, fearless, strong, almost even perfect, that we become afraid of showing our weaknesses. But what we have to understand is that the more scared we are and the more we avoid confronting our shadow, the bigger the shadow will be to eventually engulf us in the end. This is what causes the various mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, and more that would severely affect us. We must know that the shadow is something we genetically inherit and that the effects that it has on us is out of our control. And we must learn to accept our shadow as a part of our personality. By becoming aware and accepting the shadow as a part of us, we are able to control it, which not only allows us to move on with past mistakes, but also fundamentally make less. To wrap up, we may sometimes feel the need to meet the expectations that others set for us, and it may be pleasing to be able to never make mistakes. But being human makes that simply impossible. And I think we often dismiss the fact that our insecurities and mistakes are what makes our charm and individuality stand out. I hope we can start by understanding more about ourselves, and because only then can we be truly ready for new chapters. Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope this became a starting point for everyone to be prepared for adventures ahead. Thank you.